Thanks, Ron, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Cambridge is experiencing extraordinary market conditions in all sectors. Strong tenant demand has led to extremely tight vacancies and consequently propelled rents to all-time record highs across the board. The question everybody is asking is, how high can rents go? The strong fundamentals have led to record pricing for property sales in a very active sales market. Most global pharmaceutical companies have decided that they have to have a research presence in Kendall Square, and these companies continue to arrive, and those already here continue to grow. For younger, homegrown companies, the business environment is awash with capital, from venture capital financings, IPOs and secondary offerings, and corporate partnerships, collaborations, licenses, mergers, and acquisitions. Global technology leaders like Google, Microsoft, Akamai, etc., continue to choose to cluster and grow around the MIT campus. Cambridge also continues to incubate hundreds of new companies. All of this activity is best explained by one pharmaceutical CEO who recently stated that the Cambridge-Boston area, with Kendall Square as its epicenter, is the most fertile innovation environment in the world today. That's quite a statement. To borrow from Ron's blurring of the lines concept for a moment, Cambridge is historically known for two product types, office and lab. And we're witnessing a phenomenon whereby the two are becoming increasingly interconnected. Between the life science companies' growing demand for office space and the recent convergence of rents for office and lab space, today's market dynamics make it more challenging to fully separate the two product types, though I'll try. The overriding theme across both product types is that the relentless demand greatly exceeds the dwindling supply, causing rents to soar. Despite tight conditions, the office market had an impressive amount of transaction velocity last year, resulting in over 330,000 square feet of positive absorption. Not a lot of home runs, since the market didn't have the available big blocks to support those, but it was certainly a year of singles and doubles where the demand flooded the market and filled in the gaps where available space existed. Counterintuitive to the amount of activity, the vacancy rate increased slightly to 9.2%, primarily due to a couple of opportunistic landlord-manufactured vacancies, the most impactful being 180,000 square feet at 50 Hampshire Street, where Biomed negotiated a lease termination 5 years early with CDM Smith, hoping to capitalize on today's rents at a $25 to $30 premium. The vacancy rate in the core Kendall Square market is 7.8%, and only 3.7% exclusive of the CDM space. It's very tight. Current demand is 1.7 million square feet strong and comprised of both traditional tech office users as well as a growing list of life science players needing office space. Sanofi, Akamai, and Microsoft are actively in the market exploring build-to-suit options. Rents rose dramatically to all-time highs. Gross asking rents spiked 17% in Kendall Square and 9% in other submarkets. Rents for the top buildings in Kendall Square now surpass the rents for the best buildings in Boston. In Kendall Square, build-to-suit sites are limited and premium priced. Okay, now let's take a look at the 9 million square foot lab market, where demand exploded in 2014 and continues strong today. I've never seen a lab market like this. Starting in early summer, it seemed like every week a new big requirement entered the market, with demand coming from across the global and local life science spectrum. Big pharma, big bio, emerging bio, startups, you name it, they all showed up looking for space. You probably think I'm a broker, so I'm exaggerating things. But look at these statistics. Positive absorption was over 1 million square feet, and transaction velocity was strong again, totaling 1.2 million feet. We welcome global giant Baxter, who is establishing a new 200,000 square foot global innovation and R&D center at 650 East Kendall Street for the spin out of its biopharmaceutical business. The vacancy rate dropped dramatically to 9.1%. There are also 248,000 square feet of other commitments pending, making the operative vacancy rate only 6.5%. As last year progressed, the market just kept getting tighter and tighter, and now Cambridge has a real supply problem for lab tenants of all sizes. Current demand remains strong. Biogen has publicly stated a need for an additional 400,000 square feet in the 2018 timeframe. Bristol-Myers Squibb, a new entry to the market, continues to review options. Celgene, also new to the market, has reportedly committed to space in 200 Cambridge Park Drive in Alewife. Alnylam, Foundation Medicine, and Bind all represent fast-growing, homegrown, emerging biotechs. Asking triple net rents have also spiked, with average increases between 12 to 15% year over year. Quoted rents for build-to-suits are also at record highs. So there's a ton of demand and very little supply. So what is going to happen here? New construction is only part of the answer, as there are only a limited number of sites immediately available for development, and there are significant barriers to entry and long development timelines for future projects. Barring a global catastrophe, Cambridge is going to be a real tight market for years to come. No doubt, in the office sector specifically, tenant out-migration will continue its trend of the last 3 or 4 years. Sonos, the wireless speaker company, best illustrates this movement. Sonos needed to more than double in size. The lack of options and high rents drove Sonos to explore Boston and the inner suburbs, both active urban environments with public transportation and the types of amenities and vibrancy necessary to attract a young, urban, knowledge-based workforce targeted by Sonos. And as Ronnie mentioned, Sonos ended up leasing 170,000 square feet in downtown Crossing. As Ron also mentioned, Boston, initially the Seaport, and more recently the Financial District, Downtown Crossing, and North Station areas have greatly benefited from the tech out-migration from Cambridge. One pundit glibly reported that these markets have actually become tech submarkets of Kendall Square, directly connected by the Red Line. This trend to Boston will continue. Looking ahead, we also see the inner suburbs that have access to public transportation as poised to capture a growing share of the tech market. Somerville, Watertown, and Brighton all have well-conceived, transit-oriented, amenity-rich projects in the development pipeline. Assembly Row in Somerville is a great example of this type of project. With a new Orange Line station, the project hit a grand slam last year when Federal Realty landed Partners Healthcare, who was building an 800,000 square foot office complex. How about new options in Cambridge? Well, there is one block of new space under construction very much in play. Alexandria's built-to-suit lab building for Ariad could be occupied in the second half of 2015. Ariad is trying to sublease 174,000 square feet as either lab or, most interestingly, as office space. The space is getting a lot of interest from both lab and office users. This is a good example that shows the recent convergence of rents for office and lab space, which has resulted because of the recent oversized run-up of office rents as compared to lab rents, which, after you factor in the disparate tenant improvement allowances, have made the economics of an office lease effectively equivalent to a lab lease. Historically, landlord returns from lab leases have significantly outperformed office leases. In terms of potential new development, Alexandria appears to be sitting in the catbird seat with its 3 fully approved and ready-to-go Binney Street sites. Having recognized the convergence of rents for lab and office space that I just mentioned, Alexandria has flexibly designed these buildings to be able to accommodate both lab and tech office users. North Point, a fully entitled 42-acre mixed-use project, is well positioned for office and lab development. There are 7 to 8 sites available for build-to-suits of up to 2 million square feet. MIT is in the design phase for its Kendall Square initiative. MIT's transformative plans for its East Campus and for a real integration and connectivity to Kendall Square in the city are truly exciting. MIT has the opportunity to create a vibrant assemblage of activity at the very core of the innovation supercluster. The plan includes 3 commercial buildings totaling 980,000 square feet of office or lab space. The Cambridge Redevelopment Authority is also in discussions with the city about an upzoning of Boston Properties Kendall Center to create an additional 600,000 square feet of office space and 400,000 square feet of residential. The new development would most likely be located above, beside, and around the existing north parcel parking garage. The 14-acre Volpe Transportation Center site, located right in the heart of Kendall Square, is also in play. Volpe is owned by the federal government, which last year initiated a request for information process that will likely lead to the disposition of the property. This process and the subsequent entitlement process will take time. Reportedly, up to 2 million square feet could be developed on the site. No doubt, Cambridge is the white-hot center of the global biopharmaceutical universe. Tim Rowe, founder and CEO of the Cambridge Innovation Center, believes that the sector has reached an important critical mass. To quote Tim, "Nobody has built a life science megalopolis where all the players are present. Once that happens, you get a Hollywood effect. If you want to be in film, you got to be in Hollywood. You're starting to see that here." I would go one step further than Tim and contend that rather than the start, that this region is in the middle of what I would call the Cambridge effect. Thank you, and I would now like to introduce my colleague Jim Elcock, who will review the suburbs.